Ghana wins her first match as the Black Stars beat their counterparts, the Cranes of Uganda, after 2 hours of a heated match.
Potentially cost them here. Andre Ayew to take the penalty to put Ghana in the lead in this opening match in Group D to get the Black Stars underway. He's up against the best goalkeeper in Africa. He beats him.
Prior to this match, there were people who expressed concern over the Black Stars' previous performances, and which got them worried as to whether the Black Stars can make it this time round. So what does this mean to the fortunes of the Black Stars, and will this bring back a confidence lost in the Black Stars over the years? This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Bryan.
Could potentially cost them here. Andre Ayew to take the penalty to put Ghana in the lead in this opening match in Group D to get the Black Stars underway. He's up against the best goalkeeper in Africa. He beats him.
It's been a very tough game between the Black Stars and the Crane of Uganda in their first clash. Let's cross over straight to the Best Western Premier, where our man George Ado Jr. is joining us to tell us the mood over there. All right, I'm told we just lost George Ado Jr. We'll try and get him back. But in the studio, Nathaniel Atto, the man who loves sports, joined me. Hello, Nat.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I heard you proud to the game, telling Ghanaians that, listen, you think you've lost interest in Ghanaians, but that's not true. Wait till the match starts and you see that indeed you're a Ghanaian and you love your Black Stars. Of course. I mean, what are your preliminary observations of this match? All right,
so I went on social media, I was observing, and one of our colleagues, Della Russell Clue of the graphic, she had a video on, the live Facebook video. On. I think she was in ShopRite at the Accra Mall, and it was amazing. She says, look, when the game is on, every other thing has to wait. And I'm sorry to say this, but you could see attendance and all of that focusing on the screen, and it was live on her Facebook page. And that just goes to tell you that, yeah, Brazil did happen, but we're moving forward in the spirit of positivity. And for me, I think that it's good to put our spirits behind the Black Stars. Look, people are surely going to start turning their attention. What exactly we require, despite the challenges we had today in the game, is what we've gotten, which is the win, the 3 points. And that sets the tone for a good performance throughout this tournament.
So how would you describe today's match? I mean, the performance of the Black Stars.
A very, very tough game for the Black Stars team. There's no doubt about that. First of all, the pitch was awful, and there shouldn't be anything, nothing complimentary should be said about it. We all saw it. It affected the players. I'm very sad about the early exit of Baba Rahman. I'm not sure what exactly it is because I do not have the medical expertise to do that. We'll get to the camp and then we'll get to know if Benedict Owusu brings us the updates. But the pitch was very bad. It messed up the flow again, and for a very long time, for about 20 minutes in the game, we struggled to settle down and play the beautiful football. You could realize that the Ugandans were under pressure because obviously they had set a good record against us. Since Mitko Sredojevic took over, as coach of the team, we did not see, or we have not seen, a victory over the side, which was a very serious statistic. So they came in under that pressure, looking forward to putting one in very early. Yeah, they were able to make some incursions into our area and all of that, but generally the Black Stars were able to control the game.
But they missed a few steps, right? A few goals before having this one and only goal.
We saw Christian Achu, the reigning most valuable player at this tournament. Today he was also named the Total Man of the Match, which is also positive news for us. I mean, he was able to, operate a lot on the flanks, and he was able to send a few balls in. The very first one was within the first 10 minutes, and unfortunately he wasn't able to get it too close to the target. But it was all good. It put the defense of the Ugandans under a lot of pressure. I'll also have to give a lot of credit to goalkeeper Dennis Onyango of Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa. There is a reason why they like to keep him there, and there's a reason why there is that consistency in that South African club, and they're performing so well on the African continent. He did so well in avoiding so many problems for the defense, and of course with the penalty very expertly taken, Andre Ayew very composed, and he was able to put that ball in.
But interestingly, I mean, something that we've always seen in Ghana's football is that most of the time it's Asamoah Gyan who takes the penalty. We named him king of penalties. I mean, this time he didn't take it. I mean, what would you say about his performance, and what do you think accounted for him not taking the penalty? Or is it a decision that, I mean, he should step aside for someone to take the penalty because of his previous failure?
I'll tell you what, Asamoah Gyan is yet to come out officially to say that he has rescinded the decision not to play penalties again for the national team. Right. Remember that before his mother died, his mother had a conversation with him, and he said that, look, I think that penalties is something you should take out of your game because of the kinds of challenges we had when you missed the penalty in South Africa. Of course, his family came under a lot of ridicule. But many people are forgetting that immediately after missing the penalty, and Ghana went into that pulsating shootout with Uruguay at the World Cup, right, he stepped up and scored. And for me, I think that in terms of mental toughness, Asamoah Gyan is up there and is above 100%. Because if I were a footballer and I had missed such a crucial penalty which could have won us the game, and I lost it, I wouldn't have dared get back into the same position to start the penalty kick. So right, I think that he has the mental toughness. I think that at a certain point, Asamoah Gyan will have to take a decision, because truth be told, he is one of our best in the team. The reason why every other time he is given the opportunity to play. So
are we missing a lot because he decided not to play penalties?
Well, you could say so, especially if he had completed the tournament, as in the last edition. He had gone into that final game and finished the final game all the way to the end, when you needed big names, you needed big faces to also intimidate the opposition. Right. Remember that as you are doing that lonely stroll to the ball, to pick it up, to place it on the spot, the opposition is also shaking in the feet.
Not because that is a reality. Not because you're really a good player, but because of who is having the ball at that point.
Names and faces will always make a difference.
All right, so let's get onto the phone, because George Ado Jr. is back on the phone. He is stationed at the Best Western Premier, and he'll tell us what's happening there. Hello, George Ado Jr. I'm sure it's a freaking atmosphere where you are right now.
Yes, well, I think we've got mixed feelings here, truly, after the game. Some fans feel that the Black Stars are not good starters, and that's how they've got to start. Following what has gone on before for us in this competition, we've seen minnows really give the big boys a lot to think about. That Algeria couldn't pick all 3 points. That Cameroon couldn't pick all 3 points. That Gabon couldn't pick all 3 points. That Morocco couldn't pick all 3 points. Or, it goes, the Ivory Coast couldn't pick all 3 points. It goes on to say, well, we should just take what we've got. But there's another school of thought here that believes that the Black Stars did not show enough of a team that wants to go out there and eventually win the title. Obviously, because they say in the second half, the Black Stars lost guard. And the only goal came through a penalty. Jordan Ayew still showing signs of his over-elaboration and excuse the word. They've used the word immaturity, not knowing when to pass the ball and when to shoot the ball critically. These are the issues. If you have time, I will talk to Eddie Akins, who was by my side during commentary, and Sammy Moore, who just joined me, who watched the game here. If we can go then.
Let's give them 2 minutes to do that.
2 minutes to do that. And right, Akins, let me start with you. And I think you have 1 minute of the 2 minutes, obviously. What is your assessment of the team?
Yes, it's a win. We labored to get the win. It's not a win most Ghanaians would be proud of. A lot more was expected of this squad. They need to start churning out better performances to add to the result. In the second half, they totally switched off. Yeah, they went down.
What do you want to see improve in this team if you're not satisfied with what you're seeing?
Fitness and stamina, because they need to last in games to be able to last in this tournament.
Okay, that's Eddie Akins, let me hear from Sammy Moore. Sammy Moore, you have, I think, the remaining 38 seconds, I have to say. You were more of an optimist.
Yeah, George, for me, this was a beautiful game. It was very difficult for us. We've seen our mistakes, and we are going to improve. The 3 points is the most important thing, and that is what we got in this match. We got the 3 points. It hasn't been easy for other people in this competition, but we've managed to get the 3 points. Black Stars are normally slow starters, and we've got the first 3 points. Now let's look at the next game. That's what's important.
Well, Aisha, these are the views, and they represent what we actually got here in terms of opponents and proponents.
So is this kind of reducing the confidence Ghanaians have in the Black Stars, or of course they are having some, I mean, their confidence boosting for the Black Stars?
I think if we're gauging the bar, it probably stayed where it was. Because those who believe the Black Stars were not good enough didn't expect anything from them. And those who believe the Black Stars will do well, we're not overly expecting a lot because they know the Black Stars don't start well in competition. So it's just where we are. The good thing is that in the last 3 competitions, all teams that won never started well. In the likes of Nigeria, Zambia, and you can go on Ivory Coast, not necessarily. So the first game will be just early days yet to be running down the team, but will be good to be looking at the rave reviews of the things that they need to do going to the next game. So fairly from the Best West Premier Hotel, it's fantastic. Everybody enjoyed it, and we're back here on Saturday for some more.
Means there's hope for Ghanaians. Let's keep our hopes high. Many thanks to you, George Addo Jr., for joining us on today's big story. Let me get back to the studio where Nathaniel Atto is. And Nathaniel, let's talk about the penalties. This penalty, Ghanaians, that gave Ghanaians a goal, the only goal they had. Some say it was controversial. Was there a penalty?
Well, sometimes when you're watching football, and depending on which angle you're watching it from, you make or take your decisions. Now, the referee was close enough. He saw the obstruction. There was physical contact. The player impeded Asamoah Gyan's efforts to want to go forward or obstructed him. And because of that, and of course, it was in the penalty box.
Right.
So there is no question about that. You see, depending on which side of the coin you are on in terms of victory or a loss, so then you complain about these things. Because honestly speaking, some of the times when you look at a reverse shot, when you look at another angle, you are able to take a better decision. But of course, these are after the replays and, these are after the replays and of course the slow motion pictures. And of course, for those in the stadium, they do not have the benefit of playback. And of course, you'd have to be monitoring the screens and all of that. But hey, this was genuine. And it was very well taken as well, and we got the goal.
Of course, but from where you said, do you think the Black Stars, or did you foresee any goal for the Black Stars, looking at their performance, if they had not had this penalty chance?
Definitely, definitely. This was especially because of the Nachu was, moving on the right. And of course, I always say that Jordan Ayew still has to come out. He still has to give a little more. He was able to do something today, but at a certain point, he was becoming very wasteful. And in terms of ball distribution, he was becoming, very ineffective. The reason why he had to be taken off. Unfortunately, because of fitness issues, Asamoah Gyan also has to be taken off. Let's just remember that Asamoah Gyan, prior to this tournament, had a few challenges in the months leading to the final build-up to the tournament. He had a few challenges with his fitness, but eventually he was able to sort things out. So I think Avram Grant taking him out was strategic because would need him up front and would need his contribution up front. You'd realize that in the time for what happened today, Andre Ayew was doing a lot of the provision, especially with these aerial balls for Asamoah Gyan. He tried some of them. They were close to target, but we couldn't hit it. We could get it right as we go along. But what I think we need is extra stamina. And we need our fitness instructor to do some more in terms of getting the stamina of the players up there. Because today, it looked like at a certain point, we were getting very suspect. Combined with the issues of the very bad pitch.
But let's look at the new players also who came to play. We have Thomas, we have Frank Champo. I mean, these new players, did they do any good to today's match, or you feel because it's their first time?
Frank Champo, every time he's had the opportunity to play for the Black Stars, has always brought a certain touch, especially his speed, okay? The pace has always done something. He's very nimble-footed as well. Right. But more importantly, he's a utility player. The reason why, when Baba Rahman had to get out, he was placed in that position. So his being a utility player always helps. And he becomes also very, very effective when he's playing right behind the attack. So his introduction also did a lot in terms of sealing the void that Rahman had left over there. Now, when it comes to Partey, obviously this is his first experience at the Africa Cup of Nations. It's a very tough terrain. We didn't see the vintage Partey that we normally see when he's when he's playing in the Spanish La Liga. So, like I said, everybody has different stories to tell on their first attempt. When you take a look at someone like Kwesi Appiah, for instance, he played a brilliant tournament, scored some very important goals for the Black Stars, but when it came to the final of the Africa Cup of Nations against Cote d'Ivoire, that day was not too good for him because he was falling throughout, he was falling at the least, push and all of that. And you see that he needed a little more in terms of the experience and in terms of toughening himself mentally to face the opposition. So Partey is great material, but I think he also needs a bit more time to settle in. Unfortunately for the Black Stars, we don't have too much time to be, doing or making all of those experiments.
Things, yeah.
Yes. And
if you listen to George Addo Jr. and the two people he spoke with, one of them said the Ghanaians did not show enough signals that they want to be up there. What do you think about this?
I will disagree with that assertion. You know something? History always has it, at least in the last 5 editions of the tournament, that we have started by a certain pace.
Okay.
We have started by a certain pace.
And then
take yourself back to the 2010 tournament, for instance. The Black Stars went in there and lost heavily to Cote d'Ivoire, 3-1. And you see, once we saw that, we knew that it was a jerky start. But what did they do? They went all the way to the final to play Egypt. And so the Black Stars have always been systematic in the way they build up at tournaments.
Right.
So let's give it. What is important is that we've gotten the win. Of course, areas which need to be smoothened up have been exposed to the coach himself.
Which areas do you think?
I've mentioned our stamina. That is
stamina.
very, very
We
important.
need to toughen
in
that.
terms of getting the team's rhythm and getting the team to play. My only worry is that because of the injury situations, we have to bring someone in there. But hey, we're going to get the rhythm right. I think so. I think that we're going to get the rhythm right. But of course, as we go up against Mali as well, it's going to be a very, very tough challenge mentally because Mali have also proven very, very tough customers in the last 2 or 3 editions of the Africa Cup of Nations.
What should we expect in the next game between the Black Stars and Egypt?
It surely is going to be tough. There's no doubt about that.
And we know
Egypt,
how Egypt has played over the years.
Of course, Egypt will be the last game, so would leave them for later. Right now, we've won this game. We need to go sit back, take a look at the few mistakes we made in defense and all of that. And of course, our sharpness up front, we really need it. And would also have to think about Asamoah Gyan and whether we can make full use of him in the next game. How much of him can we have, and how much of the effective Asamoah Gyan can we have? Remember, once you have the effective and very sharp Asamoah Gyan, you are most assured that the smallest of chances can be converted into goals. And remember, Asamoah Gyan is also chasing his 50th for Ghana, which surely will be a very great piece of history and a very great statistic. And everybody has to support him to get there as well.
Let's look at the coach, the Black Stars coach, Avram Grant himself. He's received a lot of backlash because the Black Stars are not doing well for some time now. What do you think about his selection for this match? Well,
it just tells you that the Black Stars has gotten to a certain point of great competition where nobody is assured of their place. I mean, in defense, for instance, we all expected that would have probably the pair of John Boy and Jonathan Mensah.
Right.
Jonathan Mensah, obviously, because of a few, some slight, injury issues and his fitness, we were not able to get him in this game. Okay, you see someone like Emmanuel Ajimambedu, he sat on the bench. You understand me? So when you put all of these in perspective, you realize that it's gotten to a stage of great competition in the team where the coach feels that this is his ideal squad. I think that we should leave him to do his job. Let's leave him to take his decisions. If he has to hit a brick wall, which I hope he doesn't, let him hit, would come and do our analysis. But for now, he's the man in charge. He's been given the mandate. Let him do all of the shifting and all of the tweaking and retweaking. Let's just see how all of it goes, and then we'll do our analysis. But I'm hoping that this will be a very good foundation for the Black Stars to build on as we get into the game against Mali.
Finally, Nat, I need to let it go because you're going to do something on radio. But finally, tell me about Baba Rahman. We know he's injured. Is he going to? You think that if he doesn't play in the next match, that will affect us?
Well, I think that if Coach Avram Grant is going to use Frank Achampong in that role, then we wouldn't have much of a problem because he's got great physical, but he's not the tallest player. You understand me? In terms of height, Rahman is a little above him. But in terms of the physical presence, the muscle bulk, and the ability to run along, I told you that his space is one of his biggest assets.
Yeah.
So when you have a winger who's running at you, you are able to go with him.
That's
in terms of
scary.
using your body and also using your pace to chase him around.
Right.
And he's got the width as well, and he's nimble-footed as well. So I think that it will be a good replacement. What we are not sure about is the extent of the injury. We're not sure if it's a muscle tear, but of course, if you look at the player's face, you realize that he was really in pain, and I don't know if he will be available for the next game. We're not even sure if he will be available for selection the other games as well. Let's just wish him well, but I think that we should be able to cover the void.
To cover it. Many thanks to you,
Thank
Nathaniel Atho.
Thank you.
And it's today's big story. Been talking about the Black Stars winning their first match with a penalty goal. That was the only goal they had. And we've also been listening to some analysis from other people, even football fanatics, what they think about the performance of the Black Stars. Well, whether this will restore the confidence of Ghanaians into the other matches that Ghanaians are going to play, we'll be watching. We'll be bringing you all the updates on Joy News. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for watching. Good evening.